Welcome back to Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, websites by plebes or plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. Joining us today, special guest, fellow Bitcoiner, Fishy J. But for now, we're going to head on over to the numbers. Let's do it, people. At the time of this recording, the block height is 695,333. The Bitcoin price, 45,765. Chain rewrite days, 1,020. Total public lightning capacity, 2,246.82 sats per dollar. 2,185. All right, it's not bad. Not bad, you know, we're getting less. And the blocks to the next halvening, 144,667.
Man, numbers are looking good, but guys, I fucked up because the original recording and they forgot to press record, so we're not going to give you genuine responses to that, so I'm just going to tell you what I said before. The numbers look good overall, and again, you know, the signal is the Lightning Network that keeps on crawling up, and of course the hash rate is recovering. So man, overall good numbers. I'm just getting bored at these prices. You know, this is a Bitcoin do something meme right now.
Yeah, exactly, right? Poking at it with the stick. You know?
Yeah, it has to fucking move. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on, Bitcoin.
Totally agreed.
Come on, Honey Badger. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right, guys, for this fail, we are going to have to pull back in time, okay? We are going to pull back to the mortgage crisis. We're going to pull back to the original TARP. We're going to pull back to where this whole story started, right? And pretty much why we are here with Bitcoin. So this is an account that I follow, tweets a lot of really interesting political type of stuff about the bankers, and it's really cool. Anyways, I like the account. Rudy Havenstein, very interesting. Anyways, let's dive into this tweet and what we're talking about here. I was rewatching Killing Them Softly last night, set in 2008 during the last financial collapse, when we had a chance to do the right thing, which was let them freaking collapse. Let the bubble pop. Let it start anew. Let it build from the ground. Anyways, there's running audio in the background with quotes from Obama, Bush, and Paulson talking about TARP, right? And TARP was the relief package, in brackets, money printing that was done to bail out the banks during the mortgage crisis. And not just the banks, okay? Bailed out a whole lot of people back then. Anyways, this gentleman responds back, Peter Schmidt. It's more than just giving a blank check to a mere handful of people. It was giving a blank check to a handful of people that have proven themselves to be so clueless about the circumstances that prompted them to ask for the blank check. Okay? And here we go. This is where it gets interesting. Here's some pearls of wisdom from Hank Paulson. For the people who don't know who he is, he was at Goldman Sachs before he was government. So it's, you know, when people jokingly term the government as government Sachs, you know? So tongue in cheek, right? Anyways, here we go. Here's some, and now keep in mind these timelines, right? Problems in the subprime market are largely contained. Are they really? That was before the collapse. I've seen turbulence in the market a number of times, and I can't think of any situation where the backdrop of the global economy is as healthy as it is today. This was right before companies like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae lost 97 or 96% of their share price in a matter of like a week. Okay, and by the way, those are supposedly securities that are approved and that undergo, yeah, exactly, right, undergo scrutiny. All those audits, they really matter, huh? Makes no difference. Anyways, I know I'm getting it mixed up with the shitcoins because they're all shitcoins. Anyways, the economy is fundamentally strong, diverse, and resilient. They're getting up a little closer to the crash, though, right? But keeping everybody there, right? Making sure that everybody's happy, everyone's warm, okay? And now here we go, okay? Let's go all the way down to September 15th, 2008. At this point, the bubble has popped. Everybody knows that the jig is up. Moral hazard is something I don't take lightly. And that was AIG, okay? That was bailed out the very next day. They should have been allowed to fail. Their business should have gone the way that all businesses go when they are no longer profitable and no longer useful. Okay? It's complete garbage. Anyways, this is why we Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin is here. This is one of the many reasons why Bitcoin exists. Because these people are incompetent and they should have no control of the money.
No, dude, absolutely, Phil. And look, you hit the nail on the head. And you know what? Satoshi saw this coming, right? Bitcoin was born in the ashes of the financial crisis, January 3rd, 2009. In the Genesis block itself, it says Chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks, right? He knew that governments and central banks were just going to keep bailing people out. And essentially what happened in 2008, right, is America stopped being a capitalist society, right? Too big to fail is essentially communism, right? Because what happened was these banks, these companies were so huge, right? The government did not allow them to fail. That's not capitalism, right? Capitalism would essentially happen. What would happen was those companies would fail, right? And other companies that are better at their jobs would replace them. But now it's created this environment where all these CEOs, all these executives know that if they mess up, right, if they fuck up, they're going to get bailed out by the government, right? That is not capitalism. That's socialism. And you know who gets to pay the price? We do, right? No bankers went to jail for the 2008 financial crisis. But there's some good news, and that is Bitcoin was born, and Bitcoin is our way out of this goddamn injustice, because that's really what it is. Fishy J, what are your thoughts on this? Man, I ran out of word descriptives for all this madness.
No, I remember 2008. My daughter was just born, and I lost my job. I was laid off. My whole team was laid off for like 9 months. My house lost $100,000 in value in like a few months, right? Like I bought at the top, and then boom, I get laid off and my house is worth $100,000 less, like out of nowhere. It took me 9 months to find another job. It was hard on my marriage. It put stress on the marriage and the family. Dude, it's just harsh, man.
And what's crazy too is that all those bankers, they got bonuses. While the main street suffered, right? While you lost your job, you had struggle in your personal life. And you're not the only one. That's happened to me personally, too. The 2008 financial crisis was what affected my family tremendously. It set off, essentially a series of events, right? That was horrific for me, man. But the people responsible, doesn't matter, right? That of course is the result of the economic system that we're in, where this is all part of the fiat system, right? This is BS, man, but it's okay. Bitcoin fixes this, and that's the good news. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody, we had original meme recommended by Satoyoshi, but unfortunately we weren't recording the first time we recorded today's episode, so we had to pick another meme so it would be genuine reactions. I apologize, but we'll get to that meme, in a couple days. Anyways,
when we forget about it.
When we forget about it. This meme's brought to us by definitely a fellow plebe at BitcoinQ_A. A legend, and he came out with this meme the day that we found out of the corruption with the infrastructure bill. Let's check it out. Ooh. You really thought they were gonna play nice, and it's a honey badger, baby, and with the spikes. And you know what? It's because honey badger doesn't give two flying f's. You know the word. But anyways, Phil, why don't you rate that meme first?
That is a classic meme. One of the first ones I saw when I got into the space, and I was like, what is the whole deal with this honey badger? And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I get it now. I get why the honey badger. So I'm giving it this Bitcoin coaster.
Ooh.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to mention, Phil gave me a Bitcoin coaster for my birthday, and he didn't give you one. I got one. You didn't get one. Anyways, for that meme, I'm going to give it this purple cleaning towel. But behind it, it's a mushroom. It's a magical mushroom. Ooh. Anyways, Fishy J, what would you rate that meme?
That was awesome, man. Honey badgers are ridiculous. I once saw a video of a honey badger ripping a king cobra that was pissed off in half, man. So for that meme, I have this Orico 2.5-inch hard drive enclosure. There you go.
Ooh, and I wonder what that's for.
Someone's gonna make projects.
Someone's gonna make a bank. That's what he's gonna do.
Someone's gonna do their own little sovereign machine.
Sovereign machine of freedom. But anyways, guys, we want to know: do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. Rate the meme, and of course, join our Telegram group and give us memes to review because it's a meme review. Link us memes because we need them. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
The Fed destroys as much as $58 million of unfit currency a day.
All right, yeah, you guys actually saw what you just saw. That wasn't a joke. That is the Fed literally burning $58 million worth of fiat every single day. Just to kind of give you guys some reference, the average American makes about $1.7 million over his lifetime. The Fed is literally burning the equivalent of 34 Americans' lifetime's earnings in a single day. That's how much money they're burning. But not only are they burning money, they're printing the hell out of money too. And of course, we've been literally laying this chart on you guys every single day just to solidify it in your mind how big of a scam fiat is, right? And of course, what are the consequences, right, of this burning of money and this printing of money, right? They literally create the money, they burn the money, and they do they just control the money. It's all a scam. But what are the consequences of all this policy? Let's check it out. Here is an article by Wolf Street by Wolf Richer. Dollars purchasing power plunge at constant speed. Let's check it out. Year over year, CPI jumped 5.4%, same pace as in June, and the fastest since June 2008. That's an interesting year, 2008. All of which had been the fastest since January 1991. The article goes on to say the national median price of existing homes spiked by 23.4% year over year. Energy costs spiked 23.8%. Durable goods inflation spiked 14.3%, right? Everything is spiking. But guess what? You know what Congress is more focused on? I'll let Ben Shapiro say it himself. The infrastructure bill sideswipe at cryptocurrency just demonstrates how little our idiot legislators understand about the topic and how they see virtually every innovation as a way of stealing other people's money, right? So essentially, right, the government, right, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? They burn the money they print. They print until infinity. And again, I might add, right, because, you know, this whole cryptocurrency tax provisions snuck in at last second by the corrupt treasury by Janet Yellen. We showed you on yesterday's episode, right? They want to tax us even more. But guess what? The government spends more money every year than they collect in taxes. So the government doesn't have a tax collecting problem, as all the politicians keep repeating to us. They have a spending problem. The spending problem is so bad that these people literally light pallets of cash, like you said, Phil, and I went to go look for the video because I couldn't believe it. They literally light pallets of cash on fire. Literally, man. The equivalent of 34 Americans' lifetime earnings every single day of the year. These people are batshit, and the reason they're batshit is because absolute money printing corrupts absolutely. Phil?
Our money is worthless. It's not even worth the paper that it's printed on. It's not even paper. But that doesn't even matter, because the reality is that that's exactly it, right? You know, we go and we put our time and everything like that into this. And it's interesting, right? Because on one end, like you were saying, right, they print on one side and they burn on the other. Okay? But it makes no difference because all of it is decoupled from reality. It makes no difference. They simply print what they need. And it beyond what they, well, I shouldn't say need. Need is subjective and in brackets with stars. Okay? Because like that fits like a whole paragraph of fine print as to what is determined to be need. You know? I gotta tell you, man, the first time I ever found out about this, I was like, no, I'm like, that can't be true. And, you know, the more digging you do, the more you realize, like, look, they have their hand on the printing, you know, they have their hand on the printing lever, and they take money out of circulation and claim, the reason why they take it out of circulation is because they say, oh, you know what, it's not good money, you know, anymore, right? Like there's something wrong with the bills, right? They're tattered, they're old, they're ruined, so they set it on fire, they burn it. They just simply replace it with the same amount of cash right back into the system, and then they go and print more money. So they're never actually, when they burn that money, they're never really getting rid of anything. Like, this is the thing. Like, this is what nobody gets. We're watching a magic trick. That's all we're watching. It's an illusion, right? Like when you go and you sit there and there's an airplane behind the illusionist, and by the end of the show, the airplane is gone, but really all they did was have you move like a millimeter every 10 minutes. Do you know, so that the stage wouldn't be facing that anymore? Like, stuff like that. Like, this is what it is. It's like a slow-moving scam where we're all just getting used. And it's so sad, right? Because only the Treasury can print, right? Only the Fed Reserve is allowed to say what happens. Only the government. We've seen their incompetence. We've seen that they can't do the right things with the money. It's over.
Yeah, dude, and you saw, like, it's just so true. You saw what it's like. Janet Yellen was behind the last minute crypto tax provision, but then she's against people auditing the Fed, right? It's like rules for thee, but not for me. It's like this is the level of corruption these people like have gotten, and again, it's just human nature. If you have a money printer that literally pays for anything you want, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But Fishy J, what do you think about all this?
Well, it's true. It's all a farce. It's all an illusion, right? Our money became unhinged from reality when sneaky Dick Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. Bitcoin's proof of work consensus mechanism is what ties physical reality to a digital store of value. It's everything. It's the linchpin. So in ancient Rome, they were clipping coins. This went on for hundreds of years, debasing the money. It got to the point where civilization had collapsed. It was tattered and it was filth and squalor. And Constantine came in and swept it away and reinstituted a solid money, right? A sound money standard that brought in the Renaissance. You started to see cathedrals being built over several human lifetimes, right? Projects were embarked upon that would never be embarked upon during a fiat standard. Look at the IKEA furniture that we have today. It's designed to be thrown away in 3 years, so you will go buy more because they need you to buy more, right? Because it's artificial. It's freaking fake.
It's almost as if the farther money gets disconnected from reality, the faster the moral decay on society starts to happen, right? It's like as if like they're somewhat connected. As soon as money is anchored, right, is unanchored from, you know, the truth, right? Essentially what fiat is today, man, it's like you start to see insanity happen. You saw the same thing at the end of, at the end of the Weimar Republic when they experienced hyperinflation, right after World War I. You saw the same thing with the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, right? What you were mentioning, right? When the denarii was first when it was first in domination, I think it consisted 93% of gold, of silver, and then towards the end it was literally 0.0000. So it's almost as if humans throughout history, even with the best intentions, right? We develop, we're going to tie money to a hard standard, right? We have Bretton Woods, but over time, right, even with the best intentions, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the money starts to degrade over time. Bitcoin is a chance to break that cycle because you're taking the monetary policy out of the hands of humans, because humans have proved time and time again, even with the best intentions, they are not capable of having an uncorruptible money. Phil, thoughts?
Just a thought about IKEA, because you did mention them. I have to say one thing. If you buy the right items, right, as long as you don't get something from them that's not, that doesn't have too much technology in it, too many moving parts, it shouldn't fall apart in 3 years. It could last 5 to 7. So, so you see, as long as you step through the minefield without knowing what falls apart, you should be okay.
So we just confirmed Phil's a shitcoiner. He definitely owns IKEA coin. Anyways, moving on.
I have IKEA furniture. I have a Billy bookcase. It just won't fall apart. You want? We've had this thing for 12 years.
Phil owns IKEA coin. But anyways, debunking. Let's debunk some ESG, some mainstream media. Bitcoin is boiling the oceans. We have the receipts, okay? So they can say whatever type of rhetoric they want. We have the receipts. We're going to show you the receipts, and we're going to show you how much they're lying. And the reason that they're lying is because they cannot control Bitcoin, and they know that. And their central bank digital currency plan, right, and their plan of it's 2030 and you'll own nothing and be happy will only work, right, if they have you on the slavery money. And Bitcoin stops that. So that's why they're going after it. But let's debunk. Let's debunk things, shall we? Okay. Anyways, let's start with this. Bitcoin energy use compared to building and construction. Okay, so the sector total energy usage is about 40,830 terawatt hours, right? Bitcoin uses 79 terawatt hours. That is about 0.19% of the building and construction industry. But wait, I thought it was boiling the oceans. What's going on here? That doesn't fit the narrative. Okay, next industry. Here we have the transportation industry. Total energy usage, 34,582 terawatt hours. Bitcoin uses 79 terawatt hours. That is about 0.23% of the transportation industry. But wait, hold on. I thought Bitcoin was bad.
Yeah, we must be reading this wrong, Nico.
There must be something going on here.
Where are those paid for numbers? We need the paid for numbers.
We need the councils and the experts to tell us.
That's right.
Remember that New York Times article? Don't look too deep. Don't look too deep. Let us do the thinking for you. Anyways, okay. Next one. This is where, Bitcoin actually, does use a considerable, portion, right? This is the gold mining and jewelry industry. Bitcoin uses about 29.8% of the total energy, electricity used, right? But here is the signal. Even though it uses 29.8% of the total energy usage, the emissions are only 15.2%. But wait a second, I thought Bitcoin wasn't green. That can't be right. That can't be right, Phil. What's going on there? This doesn't make sense. Anyways, moving on. Finance and insurance. Let's see, right? So Bitcoin uses 79 terawatt hours, and the total sector uses 4,939 terawatt hours. So Bitcoin uses about 1.6% of the energy of the traditional finance and insurance industries. But guess what? I think Bitcoin's much more efficient, and it does a much better job at what they do in a much cheaper fashion that benefits everybody, right? It doesn't just benefit the parasitic, rent-seeking remittance companies and all those banks that, those overdraft fees. Did you know that banks collect about $13 billion in overdraft fees every year, right?
Free money.
But hey, Bitcoin is the problem. Bitcoin's the problem. Anyways, so not only could, if if and when, it's actually when Bitcoin replaces these dinosaur industries, the industries are actually going to be using less electricity. These industries are actually inefficient industries because Bitcoin does the same thing for much less energy. Anyways, moving on. And of course, our favorite, which is essentially an industry that Bitcoin is going to kill because Bitcoin makes war expensive, fiat makes war affordable, and more importantly, it makes it profitable, right? Check this out. The military industrial complex uses 6,691 terawatt hours. Essentially, the killing people industrial complex, the killing people industry uses 6,691 terawatt hours compared to Bitcoin's energy usage of 1.18%, right? So, Bitcoin could completely take away this industry completely because Bitcoin incentivizes peace, man. And Bitcoin gives hope. So this idea that Bitcoin is boiling the oceans, that it's using so much energy, that it's all BS. Not only does Bitcoin not use that much energy, as we just showed you, and I remind you, this is Bitcoin's energy usage compared to each industry individually, right? It's not even comparing it to all the industries combined. So Bitcoin is a very small portion. But not only is Bitcoin a very small portion of the total global energy usage, Bitcoin uses only isolated energy that was already going to waste, right? So it's bullshit upon bullshit. But what else do you expect from the propaganda fiat media? Anyways, Phil.
You know what? I'm going to say this very simply. You zoom out and what do you see? You see that sound money is absolutely worth it. And it really doesn't have that big of an impact in the grand scheme of things. Rather, it's quite the opposite, right? It's not about the negative impact. It's about the positive impact that it has. Because let's be honest, in the long run, it's going to end up, those industries, right? Those industries are going to end up using less energy, right? Especially the military industrial complex. Because, hey, if you don't have fiat, you can't fight all those wars. You just can't. Endless money is what fuels infinite wars. Fiat fuels infinite wars. So with Bitcoin, you can't fuel those infinite wars. You need people's hearts and minds because they have to separate from their Bitcoin and give it to you so that you go and send their kids to die in other countries. So yeah, people aren't going to opt for that. People are going to opt to come to peaceful solutions and figure things out. That doesn't work for the central bankers that make tons of money off of war from both sides. But we never hear about them. Anyways, you showed the receipts. We can see that a sound money Bitcoin future is well worth it and completely plausible.
Absolutely. Amen. What about you, Fishy J? What are your thoughts on this? And I know that you are building a bot to essentially fight some of this FUD. Let me pull that up so we can talk about it. You sent me this not too long ago, right? You applied for Twitter. Twitter said your Twitter developer account application has been approved, right? And you told me essentially that you intend to use this as a way of creating a bot to essentially fight the flood. And Alex Gladstein, according to this message, gave you your first task already, and that involves replying to the energy usage FUD. So Fishy J, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Why don't you talk about what your strategy is with creating this bot to fight the FUD?
Yeah. So, what Satoshi gave us is a magnificent mechanism that incentivizes and accentuates the best in humanity, the best that humans have to offer, and it disincentivizes those things that harm us all. It's a truly distributed system, right? That it disincentivizes negative human behaviors that harm us all, and it incentivizes behaviors that are good for everyone, right? It's a sound money standard. So one of the attack vectors, as we all know, right, is the energy narrative, right? The ESG. It's one of the recent attacks, right? We've had, the hash power attack. We've had the ESG attack, right? One after the other, they keep coming. So, while we were in the midst of the ESG attack, when that began, Alex Gladstein had made a Twitter post and he said, one of the plebs out here ought to create a Twitter bot that just follows a hashtag, the Bitcoin hashtag, and just, intercepts tweets that happen to be telling lies about Bitcoin's energy usage, right? And the one specific concrete example that he suggested beginning with is the cruise ship industry, right? Whenever an article comes out, lying about far over exaggerating Bitcoin's energy usage, I can automatically reply in a Twitter bot to that tweet thoughtfully and with facts and factual evidence and a little story about a truthful story about how Bitcoin's energy usage compares to that of the cruise ship industry. So that's how it started. And this is what we're up against, right? So the global power elite, they control the narrative. They have control of basically the 5 mainstream media companies. And we're up against armies of bots also that are spreading FUD on Twitter. Well, it's about time that we had a pleb bot army, right? That simply replies thoughtfully, tactfully, with factual information, right? To counter that.
Absolutely, man. Amen. And look, and guys, Fishy J's is an example, right? Everyone has a role to play in this. Find what you're good at and contribute to Bitcoin, right? Find what it is you're talented in.
Exactly.
Find what it is you're passionate about. Fishy J has his, development talents. Me and Phil, I guess we like to talk shit on Simply Bitcoin.
Just talk smack.
We just talk smack and, and point out the obvious because the world's going insane, so it's very easy to point out. But just find what you're good at, and contribute, give back to Bitcoin because Bitcoin has given you tremendous things, right? So that's just it is. And shout out to Satoshi for that. But anyways, Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. We've got Spectre Desktop version 1.5.1 that was released. It's the only Bitcoin wallet that gives Janet Yellen nightmares of floating specters of Dieter Bob's avatar saying, "Have fun staying poor." And it was built by a shadowy group of supercoders.
I just put stuff for Phil to read, and sometimes he reads it. It's absolutely hilarious. But thank you, Phil. I appreciate the software update. But anyways, guys, before we go, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. He is a shadowy software engineer, and pleb, of course.
Very shadowy.
And you can go follow him at FishyJ on Twitter. Definitely go check it out. He has some, he's fighting the good fight like all of us. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fiat shitcoin fails, politician, government, all the fails, right here, find them on Simply Bitcoin and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective. Definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you on the next one, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
The clowns are getting scary.